8 minutes until showtime.
Thank you, Rick.
You gonna be able to get up in that chair, Mr. Hopes?
Well, I might have to have a little help.
I'm right here beside you, young man.
Okay. Pull the chair a little bit closer.
Right. You can put your foot up on that, it won't hurt it.
Would you come around the other side?
Sure.
And help me with the weight?
That's what I'm here for.
I appreciate it.
Get that leg up.
Just pick it up and put it on that runner. You can't hurt it.
So you got a brace on there?
Yeah. Push it all the way back. A little bit further.
Good?
Yeah. You can walk the chair a little bit closer that way. You're a good man. What's your name, sir?
My first name's Rick.
7 minutes until showtime.
Good to know you, Rick.
Likewise, sir. Pleasure to meet you.
My nickname is Grumpy.
Grumpy?
Grumpy.
No way.
Yeah, and I got a real good buddy calls me the Legend,
I agree with that.
and the rest of my friends do shit ass.
That's funny, they used to call me shithead. It happens.
Yeah.
You need to get a little closer?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Just a little bit closer.
All right, I'll get you on this other side, get you nice and even.
And your connection with the show?
I am the intern. I'm in training.
You're in training for his job? Or his job?
His job. Yeah. Taking over.
He's treading on thin water, right?
Well, he recruited me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he's been a good friend for about 25 years.
Oh, then you got it made.
Yeah. He used to be buddies
6
with my
minutes
stepbrother.
until showtime.
I am a native of Titusville. I've been here all my life.
Titusville. I worked in Titusville.
Yeah.
You know, that was the only city on the East Coast that had city sewage and fresh water for a long time.
Yeah. Well,
Cocoa didn't have any sewage or no fresh water.
Yeah.
I worked down there when they opened up the Cape.
That's why they did Titusville, because they had to the people that worked at the Cape had to have somewhere to live. And
I traveled back and forth every day for 3 years because you couldn't get a room nowhere near Titusville. I rented a couch for 1 week and taken baths in sulfur water.
Oh, yes.
I told my mom, I said, I can't do that. I'll drive my car back and forth every day.
It's changed a lot.
I was working down there in 1954.
Wow, that's amazing. I know the hospital I was born in, they tore it down and they built another one, obviously, but
in the same spot.
it's, yeah. Well,
5 minutes until showtime.
I mean,
well, we changed. We went into Titusville and we converted the whole town over. New poles, new electrical, new transformers, and everything. We just updated the whole thing. Then we moved down to Cocoa. And when we got through with Cocoa, we moved out on the Cape and started putting power lines in out there. Oh, what a place that has changed.
oh man, it used to be so beautiful, and now, you know, like all the wildlife's dying off, all the plants are dying. I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. There's so many people, and the environment can't handle it anymore. I had been going down there. Quite awesome. All right, we're about ready to go, young man.
All right, thank you, sir.
If you need anything, just let me know.
I'll yell help.
4 minutes until showtime.
Oh, buddy.
Well, you are dearly loved.
3 minutes until showtime.
I heard that pause. I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. My guest, this guy here, we're going to have to write a book about this fella. Backed by popular demand. I don't think I've ever gotten more response from anybody we've ever had than about this guy, Mr. Olin Hopes, the one and only. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to see all your shiny faces back here. And it's a pleasure to be back to talk to you people.
If you have questions, the intern's going to come around with a piece of paper, write them down, we'll give them to Buzz, we'll give you a chance to ask them. We also have a caller calling in at 12:20. His name is Tom Gray.
Just about.
Damn,
Does it work?
time flies.
2 minutes until showtime.
Yeah. I'm okay.
One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show. Live from racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show. And your host, Buz McKim.
Hey! How about that? Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are, and we have a new applause guy over here. The intern has a new job, and he's assisting the Grand Poobah in the applause. Oh, sign was upside down. Well, hey, it's his first time. Give him a break. Yeah, he's an intern. Exactly. Wow, welcome back to the North Turn restaurant here on beautiful Daytona Beach, right on the spot where they made racing history. And we are so excited about today for several different reasons, but mostly because of our guest who was drugged back in here by popular demand. I've never had a better response of anybody we've had on this show, but this guy, and he knows where the bodies are buried. And anyway, it's going to be a lot of darn fun. This is our old pal, Olin Hopes. How about a big round of applause for Olin?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back to spread some more manure.
I don't know about you, but I sure am glad I was born without a tail. How about you?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. Hey, tomorrow is September 1st. Love September because of several different reasons. Number one is that the weather is going to start changing here pretty soon, we hope. Number two, all the pumpkin spice stuff comes out. You like pumpkin spice flavor? You know, I mean, I think they got everything but pumpkin spice toilet paper now. Yeah. So, and you can only get it during this time of year.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. But probably the biggest reason we like September is because of Darlington. Yeah, we love Darlington, don't we?
Yes, we did.
We loved it so much. My wife and I went there on our honeymoon, didn't we, sweetheart? And I'm wondering, you probably have some Darlington stories, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, can you lay a couple on us?
Well, we went there in 1963, actually 61, and we didn't do so good. We got the Darlington stripe real bad, bent the rear end housing, had to take the rear end housing out, and we even bent the roll bar inside the cage.
Holy cow.
And I took the car back downtown, found a blacksmith, and I said, can you help me straighten this housing? He looked at it and he says, well, let me get my number one boy over here. This African American came into the room. This man had to stand 7 foot tall. He had a shoe that was 17 inches long. He says, yeah, I can straighten it, but you got to help me. I says, all right, sir. You tell me what I got to do. We put it in a big vise, homemade vise that they had there for straightening stuff. He had a homemade dial indicator. He had this big rosebud. We heated the rear end housing where it was bent. He had this big wooden mallet that must have weighed 30 pounds or heavier. And he took it and he says, now I'm going to hit it. And when that touches that, he says, you tell me don't hit it again. So we beat on it about 8 or 9 times, put the axle back into the housing and spun it. It was perfectly true.
Holy cow.
So I put it back in the pickup truck and went back to Darlington, and we put it back in the race car. Then one of the NASCAR inspectors comes and says, what are you going to do about that bent roll bar? I said, what bent roll bar? So he showed me it. It was on the right-hand side of the car. Sure enough, it was bent. So I took my torch out with a rosebud on it, and I heated it up right where it was bent. Then I took the porta power, and I jacked it back out, lined everything up perfect. He gave me a stamp of approval, and then we took it out on the track and we raced it.
Holy cow. Old man power, huh? Who was driving for you then?
Junior Johnson.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And then in '63, when we had the Chevrolets, we were up there and we were running, and it was a 2-part race. For some reason, I don't know why, but it was. Well, the old Chevrolet was running real good. I got pictures of it. We got the white flag. Next time the car came by, we didn't even cross the finish line.
Oh.
Somebody else won the race. The rear end froze up on us.
On the last lap.
Last lap.
Son of a gun.
We had to get a record to take it back into the garage.
Jeez. And that was the 63 Chevy with
mystery engine car.
engine in it, right? Yeah. Fireball won that race.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, hometown boy.
I was upset.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, now, you guys had a little discrepancy in 1962, as I recall, at Darlington, right? Wasn't Junior flagged the winner?
Oh, the 62 Pontiac.
I don't want to bring up any bad memories.
Well, the 62 Pontiac was a good car. It was a fast car. And we hit the Darlington stripe again with the front end, not the back end, the front end. And we tore up the bumper in the front, the right front fender a little bit. We just took a torch and cut it off back them days. And we went back out on the track, still race. And We got the white flag and we got the checkered flag. We pulled up in the victory circle and we got the rebel flag and all the hoopla. We had a good time. And then Ray says, they told us we didn't win the race. I said, what the heck are we doing here then? I said, well, there's our lap charts. We got every lap and every second that we were on the track and every second we was in the pits. They said we're a lap down. He says, don't let nobody touch this car or move it until I tell you. I said, okay, Mr. Fox. So I sat there on that little hill there where they had the car till 9 o'clock that evening. Now all these people went home knowing that we won the race. Ray shows up. He says, well, take it, put it on the truck, go to the motel. They took the race away from us.
Larry Frank?
Larry Frank won the race. He was one lap ahead of us. And I was heartbroken. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep. And Joe Epton and Ray Fox, Joe was ahead of timing and scoring, and he and Ray fought about that for years. And actually, last time we saw them together, we had a Friday lunch deal, and they're still arguing. This was in 2003, and they were still arguing as to who won that race. But what was funny, though, is that they never got any pictures of Larry Frank in Victory Lane. So all that following year, there was these big ads for Pure Oil. You know, Pure Oil wins Darlington, wins Daytona. And they had a picture of Larry Frank, but what it was Junior sitting on the Pontiac in Victory Lane, and they cut Junior's face out. They put Larry Frank's face over the picture.
Well, Larry Frank was a good friend of mine. I always liked him. And we went up to Greenville to a Pontiac Oakland show. We took our car, the 61 Pontiac, number 3, and we took Marvin Panch's 60 up there to the Pontiac Oakland shop, and then Larry Frank showed up. I thought Larry Frank passed away, and him and Pearson walked in. I almost had a heart attack. I said, my gosh, you're still alive. He said, yeah, I'm still alive. I said, you were one of my favorite race guys that I used to hang around with at the tracks, because he's just a good old guy.
Yeah, he wasn't a very big fella, but he was just built like an ox.
Built like a bulldog.
Yeah, and he was a boxer in the Navy. And Wanda Lund, Tiny Lund's widow, had told us that Larry Frank was the only guy in the world that Tiny Lund was afraid of.
Wasn't he in the Marines?
Oh, maybe it was a Marines.
He was a Marine Corps.
Yeah. He volunteered when he was still underage, too. He saw a tremendous amount of action in World War II, but he was just double tough. And when you can get Tiny Lund afraid of you, that's a pretty good deal, right?
Yes.
That's for sure. Hey, what was your very first car that you ever owned as a kid? Owned?
The first, I owned a 1935 Austin Bantam.
Oh, boy.
I didn't even have a driver's license. I used it on my paper route. I went to the chief of police in Holly Hill and asked him if I could use it on my paper route. He says, how old are you? I said, I'm about 12, 13. And he says, you don't have a driver's license? I said, no, sir. But I said, I need that card to deliver my papers on Sunday, because back then our Sunday papers were about 2.5 to 3 inches thick. And I had almost 300 customers. And he says, you know how to drive? I said, well, I drove it down here where you could look at it. He said, well, drive me around the block and let me check you out. So we drove around City Hall, went back on White Street where the police station and water department was. He says, okay, Olin, he says, I'll let you drive it, but you can only drive it when you're delivering papers. If I catch you driving it any other time, he says, I'll take the car away from you. I says, you got a deal. So that's what we did, and I kept it. And then when I got to be 18 years old, I had my first legal driver's license, and my first legal car was a 1946 Ford convertible. Believe it or not, a Ford.
Ooh.
It was a nice little car. I bought it from Lloyd Buick Cadillac.
Yep. And did you hop it up?
Believe it or not, all I did to it was put dual pipes on it and fender skirts. That's all I did to it. It was a good little car.
Yeah, you were cool looking though, weren't you?
Well, I was cool.
Yeah,
Hey, we cruised. Hey, I cruised up and down this beach 100,000 times. Hi, girls.
But did you get any of them to get in the car with you?
No.
Put her there, pal. I had the same problem. Yeah, Peggy, is Peggy here yet? You got to be careful. Your wife's supposed to be here today, right?
She said she'd be here.
Okay. Well, you might want to get this ancient history out of the way before she gets here. You know. All right, you know what I was wondering too? They had the racetrack down here. They only ran it that one time a year. Did you guys ever go down there and play race car driver on the road course back here?
No, but I did at night.
Oh, yeah, that's what I
See,
figured.
my brother-in-law used to have a fish camp right down here at the inlet called Fish Hawk Harbor. We had 2 deep-sea fishing boats, and we had 15 flat-bottom boats for river fishing. And my brother-in-law got sick, ended up in the hospital. He had colon cancer, and my sister couldn't run the camp by herself, so I ran the camp till he got better. And at night, the boys, I asked the guys to be in before 7 o'clock, and I'd go back to Daytona Beach, go to the Varsity Drive-In, the campus, and the Steak and Shake over the Seabreeze boys, looking for somebody that wanted to do a little drag racing. Back then we call it drag racing, we call it street racing. And the city of Daytona Beach chief of police knew me by my first name. I had to go see him every Friday. Well, let's hear it, Olin. I had loud pipes, and that's what I get my tickets for, was loud pipes. So he come to the door, and I'm out front. He says, let's hear it, Olin. I crank it up, and then go whoom, whoom, whoom. He says, keep it that way. I'll go around the block, pull the pins, and blow the steel wool out of the pipes, and down the road I go. Rah! I was back next week doing the same thing again.
A little touch of American graffiti there, huh?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, because growing up in Daytona was fun for me, but I came along maybe 20 years after this guy, and I can't imagine what it was like back then, because it was just about wide open town, wasn't it?
Well, like I said, we started drag racing up in Flagler in 1954 and 55. That's where I really started to get into drag racing heavy. I built me a rail, my first rail. I look at it today and I says, I had to be plumb crazy because it looks like a death trap.
We just happen to have some pictures, too.
Yes, we do.
So after the break, we'll whip out some pictures here and relive a little bit of history. Here's the long-suffering Mrs. Hopes just came in.
Yay!
Hey, Peggy. Congratulations surviving this guy.
Hello, sweetheart.
Did he ever take you for a ride in one of his race cars?
No, she used to go into 57.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
I had it fixed up pretty decent. Her brother had a 57 Thunderbird, and I'd meet her and her girlfriend going down Ridgewood Avenue, and we'd get on it a little bit. But I always managed to outrun the T-Bird.
Well, folks, we're going to take our first break here. We'll be back in just a minute or so and carry on this amazing walk through time. Here we go.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1- and 2-bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buz McKim.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, here with our old pal, Olin Hopes. Just enchanting. You're enchanting us, you know? Entertaining, and we're learning stuff, and you got the sign right side up this time. Richmond, you're coming along just fine. Absolutely. Fantastic. So anyway, we have that phone call coming in here in a minute. We're doing a little experimenting, so that could happen at most any time. So we'll see what happens. Live radio makes life very interesting. But talking about first rail job, this is yours, right?
Yep, that's it,
Okay.
1955.
1955. I don't know if I would go down to 7-Eleven to get a gallon of milk in that thing, but he was out there racing it. You can take a good look at these after the show. They're amazing.
That car ran 135 miles an hour in a little over 10 seconds down a quarter mile.
Amazing.
And I look at it today and I said, I had to be plumb crazy.
It was definitely grassroots. What did you have for power in that thing?
It had a Corvette engine in it.
Whoa, no kidding.
1956 Corvette 2 4-barrels.
Is that the one you got from Smokey?
That's the one I got off of Smokey.
Yeah. Now, you built it yourself?
No, Ray Fox, when we built the new rail, the slingshot, we went complete through the engine, and we went with a Giovanni racing cam, used to be right here on Seabird Island, or Pelican Island, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, right on the causeway.
And we ran Giovanni racing cams. And we were racing Giovanni cams the same time that Big Daddy Don Gottlieb was sponsored by Giovanni.
And this thing looks like it couldn't have weighed more than 1,000 pounds, right?
I forget what it weighed. My new rail, the slingshot, was 92 inches long, weighed 1,154 pounds with me in it.
Oh, man.
I ran a Ford rear end and a Ford top loader, a 1939 top loader transmission.
Oh.
Standard ship.
Yep. Whatever you could find out of the junkyard?
Most of it came out of a junkyard.
We're going to take a break here for a second. We have a caller. Do we have a caller on the line? All right, here we go. Caller on line. Caller? Where you at?
Hey, Buzz. This is Tom Gray up in...
Tom Gray, calling from North Carolina. Good old. Can you folks hear Tom, or am I the only one?
I can hear him.
You can hear him? Good. Good. Tom Gray is a guy who gave me this job. I will be forever in his debt. And we go back a long ways. We're both Jersey guys. He's from Flemington. We both attempted a driving career. We both lettered race cars. We both are race car artists. We both married remarkable women. And we both have done some announcing. Tom used to be on the WNDB Racing broadcast team, and you couldn't find a better guy. And I'm so delighted that you're our first call-in. What's going on there, buddy?
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that we're tuning in. Your show is entertaining as can be. It's great to see you see you on stage and have Olin Hopes with you. I've not met Olin before, but I got to tell you, I'm having a great time listening to the stories that he's telling. That's the kind of the history that few people get to hear, and I really, really appreciate that you're every Friday you're bringing it to us. And as far as getting you the job, I just helped Mike go to the right person for it. You were this is the perfect job for you.
Well, I do appreciate that, and it means the world to me, and I thank you for the recommendation. But when you get back into town, we have to have you on the show because you got a heck of a history and a heck of a good story to tell. Yeah, I think that'd be super.
Well, we're planning to come down in a couple of weeks. We're getting some things in order up here in Charlotte, and then we're going to make a trek down. We're going to go down to South Florida to visit our granddaughter. But yeah, we'll definitely stop in and enjoy the show in person.
Well, man, I do. I'll be looking forward to that, and I sure appreciate you helping us with our experiment here. It looks like it's going to work out pretty good there, Mike. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. Anything else you want to leave us with?
Just enjoy the rest of the show, because that's what I'm going to be doing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks
Tom
for
Gray.
calling.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Olin.
Wow. Man, that worked out really good.
Yes, it
All
did.
right. That sounds real good. I think we will do a little bit of digging through the Rolodex and have some more folks calling in. Definitely. Now, the first race car, actual stock car that you ever worked on, what was that?
It was a 1944 coupe, and I was about 15 years old, and it was basically almost my next door neighbor. He worked for Stevens Pontiac. He was a transmission specialist, and I says, "Oh man, look at that old Ford." So I went over there and looked at it, and I said, "What are you doing?" His name was Old Man Winters. I said, "Mr. Winters, what are you building?" He said, "I'm building a race car." I said, "Oh man, can I help?" He said, "Yeah." So I helped him build his car, and we took it over to DeLand Fairgrounds, the old fairgrounds, and he wasn't a race driver.
He wasn't a race driver?
No, he was not a race driver, because
Okay.
about 5 or 6 laps into the race, I think it was going into number 1 turn, the track was so dusty, you couldn't tell where the turn was. Jack Cook used to race over there, Ray Fox used to race over there, and they would pick out these big pine trees at the end of the track and take a left. Well, he waited too long to take a left, and he rolled the car over.
And here's a picture of the
And
car.
ain't nothing left of the car.
Yeah, not a straight piece on there. Another, you guys can come by and take a good look at it. But Olin had his hand in that car,
Yeah.
and I guess it was beyond repair, huh?
Well, when he brought it home on the trailer, I went over there and I said, "My God, what did you do?" He says, "I guess I lost control." And I says, "How are we going to fix this?" He says, "It's going to the junkyard." But he never built another one. It was sponsored by Stevens Pontiac.
Yeah, you can see the Pontiac logo right here on the door.
Yep.
How about that? Yeah, he pretty well used that up. Yeah, I imagine he got extra points for that one, huh?
Yes, he did.
Golly. And then right about that same time, I imagine you started working with Ray Fox, right?
Well,
Well,
it was down the road a
Okay,
little ways before
but,
I started working for. I went to work for Fox, I think, right around late 59, early 60s.
yeah, this looks like it might have been probably the late 40s, early 50s here.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That was on Beach Street.
Yeah, and
Well, off of Beach Street on Orange Avenue and Palmetto behind City Hall.
yep. And a lot of folks don't know that Ray Fox was a race driver, but he, Marshall Teague, and Fireball used to barnstorm throughout the Southeast back in the early days. And I guess it turned out that he was a better mechanic than a race driver. Is that how that worked out?
I believe so.
Yeah. I imagine he had too much of a temper to be a race driver, didn't he?
He had a temper.
Now,
It's like I've told you before. Between him and I, it was a love-hate relation. Because he was a hard man to work for.
yeah, can you go into great detail about the great Fox Hopes rumble in the jungle?
Oh, Lord, here we go again. Well, that all happened because of that lovely lady sitting there in the chair. My wife, we was at Charlotte. We were up there, we were up in the North Country racing for about 3 weeks, and we finally came home. and I unloaded the race car, and Peggy drove in. And Ray's hollering at me. I says, I'll handle it. It'll be done. And he saw my wife there. We were engaged at that time. And she said, are we going out tonight? I says, hell yeah, I've been gone for 3 weeks. And so I says, yes. She says, well, when you get the car ready and the truck put away, she says, you're coming with me where I've got something to show you. And I says, okay. And, no, that was later on, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. So she left. We had a date that night. But Ray Fox says, when are you going to do this? I says, it will get done. And then he said something he shouldn't have said. He called my wife a dirty, dirty, dirty name. And I looked at him, I says, what did you say? He says, I didn't say anything. And I reached down, I balled my fist up. I came from the asphalt up as hard as I could, right in his jaw. I says, that's what I thought you said. And we started fighting.
And you had to reach to get him, didn't you?
Well, I had to come off my feet and hit him. And I hit him with everything I had, knocked him down, and I was on top of him, beating on him. He says, and he swung back, but he never connected. And he says, I'm not mad, I'm not mad. I says, by God, I am. I says, I'm ready to kill you. So we ended up in the race shop. We ended out on the asphalt. We ended up in the tool room in the old shop. And we ended up in the restroom, and I'm still beating on him. And then he got out of there. He says, I'm not mad, I'm not mad. I said, I am. We ended up on the grease rack, and I hit him again, and he fell, and he hit his elbow on the grease rack, and he was ready to quit. Raymond Fox Jr. was underneath a sedan delivery truck, putting the transmission in, and he's hollering at me, hit him for me, Olin, hit him for me. I said, I'm trying. So Ray got up holding his arm, and went into his office. And I was so mad I was crying. Went and got my pickup truck and backed up to the race shop, loaded my toolbox, and he comes out and says, what are you doing? I said, what the hell does it look like I'm doing? I'm loading up my toolbox. I quit. Well, I ain't going to fire you. I said, you don't have to. I quit. So I went out. He said, where you going? Nobody ain't going to hire you. I said, yes, they will. So I went out to Red Bolt shop, and when I pulled up and backed up to the door of Ray's shop, Pappy's shop, he's on the telephone. Who's he talking to? Ray Fox. Don't hire that guy. He ain't no good. Pappy says, well, Foxy, he's here. He's already got his toolbox unloaded. He says, you want to talk to him? Yeah. You tell Foxy, go pound sand. So I stayed at Pappy's, and Pappy says, what happened? I told him. He said, I'd have got mad too. I said, I'm still mad, but I'm cooling down a little bit. He says, Olin, he says, I ain't got enough work to put you to work. I says, I'll work for nothing. I said, I don't want to go back there. So I got my toolbox off, and I'm walking around the yard. I walked in between the old shop and the new shop. Out behind the old shop, the weeds all grown up. I'm looking. I said, Yeah, what is that? A 1962 Pontiac race car.
Ooh, we're going to have to hold it right there just
Okay,
for a
I'll
second.
stop.
We're going to go for a quick break, and we're going to
Okay.
be right back and carry on. Here we go.
Good deal.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Rhonda and Walt invite you to come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Racing's North Turn has been voted by you top 10 beach bar 7 years in a row. Next year, they're going for top 5. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buz McKim.
Hey, thank you. You see how much more applause we get with Richmond over there? It's great. He's earning his keep.
You're doing a good job, boy.
and our old pal Olin Hopes, too. You know, he talks about Pappy, Red Vote. He was really your sanctuary, more or less, right? Yeah. I mean, every time you had problems, you run over to Pappy's.
I get mad at Fox. I'd take off and go to Pappy.
Yeah. And if you look over here on the other side of the bar, that lovely lady with the Hollywood sunglasses and the pink top is June Wentz, whose father was Red Vote, the man who named NASCAR. How about that?
Yay,
we have some
yay.
racing royalty here. Excellent. He was kind of like your half-brother, I guess, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Pappy was a wonderful man to work for. He was fun to work for. He made it fun, and he taught me a lot.
Well, you guys got this 62 Pontiac, right?
You got that 62 Pontiac, and I went and I said, Pappy, yeah, what do you want? I said, is that your Pontiac in the back there? Yeah, it's a piece of old junk. I said, no, it's not. I says, you got stuff to put it together? He said, I got a little bit of stuff. What do you want to do? I says, let's put it together. I'll help you. You don't have to pay me. I says, I want to put it together, go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and beat the hell out of Ray Fox. He says, really? You really want to do that? I said, yes, sir. He says, well, I've got just about everything, but I need some fresh engine parts because everything I got is tired, very, very tired. He said, let me make a phone call. So he picked up the phone. He called.
Who's that, the old man?
No, wait a minute now. It'll come to me.
Okay, all right.
He says, guy answered. He called Bill France Sr. Hey, Pappy, what you doing? He says, hey, I need a little help. What do you need? He says, well, I got Olin Hopes here. Yeah, I know Olin. He says, he wants to put this old 62 Pontiac together and go to Charlotte and outrun Foxy. He says he really wants to do that. He found out later on that we had a rumble at the shop. He says, what do you need? Pappy says, I need some engine parts. He says, let me make a phone call. I'll call you back. So he called us back a little later, and he says, can you be at the airport around 3 o'clock? He says, there's 2 brand new engines. Be at the airport waiting on you. Pappy says, thank you. So we put the car back, we put the car together, and Saturday night, we were loading the old station wagon, He had a Mercury Murata station wagon. Big tank. We had it loaded. Just room for him and I to sit in. And the race car was full. We packed it. This is everything we could think we needed at the racetrack. So I says, we got to be at the track Monday morning. Pappy says, I'll start out driving. I says, no. I says, you need your rest. I says, I'll start out driving. He said, no, I will. Well, it wasn't Saturday. It was Saturday night. No, it wasn't. It was Sunday night. It was Sunday night when we pulled out. We have to be at Charlotte for inspection Monday morning.
Oh, my gosh.
So
Holy cow.
he said, I'll start out driving.
No interstates.
No, it's all two-lane highway. So I got on the shotgun seat, and I laid my head back and trying to go to sleep. Pappy took off. We got between Daytona and Flagler, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, we're going over the... I woke up, I said, what's going on? He says, hold it in the road, hold it in the road. Well, we had 4 lanes of traffic between here and Volusia County line, and we went down in the ditch with the race car behind us, and we didn't have a trailer. We tow barred it
Holy cow.
with steering cables.
Jeez.
And I says, what's going on? He says, I think I fell asleep. I says, you think you did? So we got up on the road, we checked everything over, and he says, we're okay. And I says, okay, you get in the shotgun seat. He says, you think I can go to sleep now? He says, I'm wide awake. He says, you sit right where you're at, you'll be okay. I said, you sure? Him and I both, we didn't go to sleep. Wide awake, afraid we're going to run off the road again.
And you got to Charlotte.
Pappy says, Olin, don't mind that mule being blind, just load the wagon. And that's what we did. We loaded the wagon, we headed for Charlotte.
Oh, man.
We pulled into Charlotte Motor Speedway at the tunnel at 9:30 in the morning.
Son of a gun. That's unbelievable.
And
Yeah.
we were tired,
Jeez.
but hey, we were at the racetrack.
We're going to take a break for just a second. We'll be right back to see how this story ends. How's that?
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, oh, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buz McKim.
Hey, thank you. Here with racing pioneer, the legendary Olin Hopes. I could say legendary, right? Would you say he's legendary, Peggy? Yeah, okay, yeah.
My
Peggy agrees.
nickname was one of my buddies, the Legend.
The legend. There
He
you
embarrasses me every place I go.
Well, he is. I don't know anybody who has better stories or has more history. I'll tell you how far back he goes. Let me see here. There's something I found the other day, and you were probably just getting into the racing right about then. This is 1941, so it's a few years before that. But this is a letter from C. I got to get my glasses on. C. Newsom Beatty, who was the manager of the High Point, North Carolina Speedway. It's a 1-mile dirt track. Bill France raced there. It was one of the really, really super-duper tracks before World War II. And anyway, he wrote to a guy named Fred Dagobah. Fred was a sometime driver, and he was one of the founders of NASCAR. He was there that day that NASCAR was founded. But anyway, Fred hadn't gotten his entry blank in on time, and it was coming up pretty close to the race time. So it says here on the last paragraph, also fill in the enclosed publicity sheet as you failed to send this one back with your entry. Fill this out and put something in it we can use for publicity in the papers and rush this back to us at once. If you have no racing experience, just fill it out and call yourself some kind of champion or other.
Very good, very good.
That's how it was back in the day when you were just getting started. Yeah. So, but Bill France got that all straightened out.
Well, getting back to the story about Pappy, I want to carry this on the next show that I'm on, because we want to touch base on something else that you people probably don't know about. Some of you do.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about the Buick run that we did out here in 1960.
This is one of the most remarkable stories. General Motors brought these Buicks down. They wanted to have an endurance run, and you take it from there.
Well, I don't know how I got the job, but I got a job to help do this Buick run. We had mechanics there. They had their mechanics. They were what we call bubble top Buicks. They were automatics. They were completely stock. And we ran that car 10,000 miles without stopping. And we refueled them on the run. Didn't stop to put gas in them. The only time we stopped to put gas in them is when we had to stop and change drivers and put tires on the car. The drivers drove for 4 hours at a time. There was Marvin Panch, Fireball Roberts, Bobby Johns.
Was Ralph Moody part of that deal?
Who?
Ralph Moody?
I think he was there, yeah.
Larry Frank was there.
Larry Frank and
Oh, and Larry Flynn, local guy, local short track driver.
Yeah, he was there also.
What? What was that?
Let's hear that again.
Larry Flynn, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a local dirt track boy, been around a long time. In fact, Rick and I used to race against him when we had our race car. And the Buick run was, like I said, we drove that car 10,000 miles, and we changed drivers every 4 hours.
And you were trying to average 100 miles an hour, I think, right?
That's what the goal was. But we averaged, after our race, after we did the 10,000 miles, we averaged it out 125 miles an hour.
Holy cow.
For 10,000 miles.
And these are street cars.
They were street legal automobiles. And like I said, we used to refuel them on the runs, just like the jet airplanes do. And we used the same setup they're using today on the NASCAR cars. So when you plug it in, you were in, and you dropped your gas. And when you wanted to get out, you just pulled it out.
Yeah. So you had a kind of like a donut in the deck lid of the car in front of you, and then Olin, he'd ride with Fireball, and they had this probe that was mounted on the side of the car, and it stuck way out in front here. So then you had to kind of, well, you take it from
on
there.
the back of the other Buick, the one that was racing or doing the time trials, Marvin was the driver, and on the back of the trunk, we had like a V sitting on an angle, and the fastest fuel runs, we wasn't allowed to put gas in the car unless it was on the back stretch. And Fireball looked at me, he says, "We're going to set a record." I said, "We are?" He said, "Yes." He says, "I already talked to Marvin. Marvin ain't going to lift his foot, because he used to slow down while we come up behind him and put the fuel in. Get that arm up in the right place so when it hit the trigger, it went boom, right in." So I says, "Okay." He says, "You see that telephone booth way down there?" He said, "When Marvin gets right about there," he said, "you tell me to go." So I climbed in the car, no seat. I grab a hold of the roll bars, and I'm looking, and here goes Marvin into number 3. And when he got to the telephone booth, I said, go. Fireball nailed it. Went up into turn number 1, went high. Here comes Marvin. He caught us right about just before we got to the end of the turns 2. When we got to turn 2, Fireball brought the car down, and bang, we had him in, and Marvin never lifted his foot. We just kept going. All we had to do was touch our brakes. When our big diaphragm in the back was empty, the red light would come on, and all we did was hit the brakes, and he'd just pull away from us. We did that refueling run at 126 miles an hour.
Jeez.
And that was the fastest refueling run that tank.
Amazing. You filled the whole tank going down the backstretch.
Yep, we put 22 gallons of fuel in it every time.
Amazing.
It only took like maybe 6-7 seconds because it was all under pressure.
Were you scared?
No, hell, I was having a blast. I was having a blast. I said, boy, we did it that time, didn't we? He said, yeah, we did. Yeah, we had a good time.
Well, it's interesting, too, for the quick pit stops when they bring the cars in for the tire change. They
Tires and drivers.
Yep, they had 2 forklifts, one on each side of the car. And they lift it up, bam, 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 put it back down.
We did away with the one.
Oh, did
we
you?
just had one with very big forks.
Oh, no kidding.
And we had a ramp the car come up on, had a place to stop, and all I did was hit the lever, raised them up. They changed drivers, we changed tires, down, bye-bye. They were gone for 4 hours.
Amazing.
That's the way we did it.
God darn. How long did it take you to run that test?
I don't remember going home. I think I was there for the whole run. I took cat naps.
Yep.
But I think it took us at least, 3 days.
Really? How was the weather?
It was all right.
Oh, good.
It was all right. It wasn't cold in winter, I'll tell you that, because it can get cold out at the Speedway.
Yep. Coldest place in the world.
I ran a 24-hour race out there with a Ford Mustang, and Rick and I was out there. Rick was on the police department at that time, and the temperature got down to 17. I like to froze my little bun off. But I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, one with Marvin Pants and his son, 24-hour race.
Right.
The one with Marvin Pants and his son, we finished first in our class, 3rd overall.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was with a Camaro, Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, so you've done a little bit of everything, haven't you?
Well, I've had my fingers in everything.
Yeah, and you haven't gotten caught very often, have you? We're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be back to wrap this up, okay?
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to the Janet Hale Foundation website. With this website, we hope to broaden our reach, to find someone like you to help us on our journey. Janet's journey started 40 years ago to ensure that all children had a toy under the tree at Christmas. Today, thousands of toys and clothing are donated for underprivileged kids. We need your help to continue our journey. Tour this website and find the Donate Now button. A small gesture can make a big difference in a young life. We need your help. Visit us on Facebook, Janet Hale Foundation, or call 386-256-0752. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buz McKim.
Yay! Thank you. My wife is so impressed. Wait. We're here with our old pal Olin Hopes. Now, we go back 114 years.
Yeah, we go back a long way.
yeah,
We've been friends I knew his dad pretty good. His dad was a trip. He was a trip.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. But, yeah.
I'd go to the parts house to get a part, and his dad would wait on me. Well, late in the afternoon, I have to go to another parts house to get the part that I needed. I walk in, there's his dad. I says, I thought you was working for so-and-so. He says, I quit.
Yeah, that was Dad.
And
Yeah.
he could change jobs 3 times a day.
But we never went hungry.
No, you didn't.
No, there was a car that had been a Ray Fox car, 65 Chevy. It was a team car to Ray Fox. Bunky Blackburn drove it in the Firecracker 400. And the guy who actually owned the car decided he wanted to do it on his own. So he broke away. He took one of Ray's crew members, a guy named Jimmy Boyd, and they rented a shop down at Port Orange. And they proceeded to convert the 65 Chevy into a 66 Chevy. And that's where I met Olin. He'd come down after he got done at Ray's, and he'd work on the other Chevy for Jimmy. And my brother and I, we were the gophers, the grunts, the grinders, whatever it took. We were just, just young kids. And that's how we got hooked up. And that car ended up being driven by Johnny Rutherford in the Daytona 500, 3-time Indy winner. That was a pretty neat deal. And then a couple other guys drove it, and then it just kind of faded away. But we had some pretty good times in that little shop down there, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. It had to do with race cars. I was there. But when they took it to the Daytona track, I didn't go with them. But we worked on it hard, hoping, just keeping our fingers crossed that it would do pretty good. Mm-hmm. But,
Yeah, there were little tricks that we did, like, excuse me, my brother and I, we were in charge of grinding the hood, the roof, and the deck lid to make it as thin as we could.
Yeah.
We cut all the door hinges out. We took putty and puttied up the drain rails along the roof. You had to have the drain rails.
Drip rails.
Yeah, the drip rails. So that would catch wind. We cut the trunk down the middle and pulled the rear fenders in 2 inches and shortened the bumper and all these little tricks. And it didn't really help a whole heck of a lot, but it made us feel good, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, we got and didn't get caught.
No,
Didn't get caught in inspections.
No, it worked out pretty good. So that was a really neat time, and Johnny Rutherford was my mom's favorite, and she just thought that was about the coolest thing ever to meet Johnny. And he went on to do pretty good things. Yeah, he's done very, very well. I think we probably have enough information tucked away that we could probably do round 3 one of these days. Would you?
I'd be more than pleasure to do it.
You think we'd give it another shot here, round 3? I think it would be just lovely.
Thank you. Hey, I told Buzz, this charges my battery.
Yeah, but you don't ever get
and as old as I'm getting, I need my battery charged.
Before we break away, I got to talk about this little picture back here. This is another one of my paintings. I did that probably back in the mid-'90s, and it's Mark Martin when he was running the ASA, and he won 3 championships in a row. And if you notice on his uniform, there's a little Dennis the Menace logo, and that was his trademark because he was a snot-nosed little kid that was coming in and beating up on all the veterans. So I thought that was appropriate. But this turned out real nice. I'm real happy about it. I had it up there last week when Bob Tullius was here, but we got so involved in the conversation that we never had a chance to talk about this. So there are limited edition autographed prints of that I'll be putting on our new website, the buzzmckim.com. And we're in the process of building that. What? What's this? Racing art. Thank you. That's why I have a secretary. Thank you, sweetheart. And boy, does she get the benefits, I'll tell you. She's the highest paid one in our whole organization. And she gets to sleep with the boss.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, is she blushing? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, must be pretty good.
No.
Anyway, getting back to that Buick thing, here's a bunch of the guys that were on the crew. Owen's front and center here. And,
I'm the dirtiest one in the crew.
There you go. Yeah, you learned that from Smokey, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But those were some working guys there, that's for sure.
We got more pictures, but I gave most of my pictures on the Buick run to Marvin Panch. And we can get more of them.
Yeah, I've got
We
some.
just got to go out to the archives to get them.
Yeah, I've got several in my own collection too. So next time we'll bring those pictures in. You'll get to see how that whole operation worked out. But it was a pretty remarkable piece of engineering there to do all that. And then a few years later, they had a Mercury Comet endurance run. Johnny Allen was part of that.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to do with that one?
Not really. I was out there. I wanted to drive the cars, but they had all the drivers they need. Then after the Mercury run, we did Nash Ramblers.
Oh, okay.
We did the Nash Rambler run. And we lost one of the drivers out there where they were playing around at night. Didn't put his helmet on and didn't put his seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And went out there and just before he got to turns number 4, rolled the car over and threw him out. The car squashed him.
Not good.
And I think they ended that Nash run.
Yeah. Well, me and a friend of mine were supposed to be doing break-in for one of the teams for the pure oil runs that they used to do all the, who has the best mileage, who has the quickest stopping, all that sort of thing. But you had to break these cars in. So we were all set to get in there. We showed up that one morning, and Bill comes over. He says, they disqualified the team. I said, why is that? Well, they found gasoline in the windshield washer jug. He said, I couldn't figure out why the darn windshield wipers wouldn't go off. So anyway, that was my first chance to run at Daytona. I never got a chance to. So anyway, so, we got to talk about the team here real quick before the team's everything, right? Yeah. I mean, you couldn't have done what you do without a team.
Well, if you didn't have a team, you had to have somebody to work with and work as a team. Otherwise, the job wouldn't get done.
There you go. Well, we have Bill Watson, our team photographer, The Flash. And
Yay!
There we go. Yeah, and Richmond Carter over here, the
Yay,
intern.
yay, yay.
Intern. Earned his keep today. And then we have Shane Stanton over here, the Volt.
Yes, sir.
He's our engineer. And Lenny behind the custom shades. Lenny Marsh, he's our scribe, right?
Yes, sir.
And Walt is on vacation. He's our roadie. And his wife, Rhonda, is on vacation. And she's the assistant field director. So my beloved spouse of 36 years over here, Gwen, she's the buzz boss. Yeah. And Elizabeth Wick, she should be here, but she's on vacation too, and she's the Miss Bake-A-Cake, and we certainly do miss her. And then, of course, our Grand Poobah, Mike Multane over there. What a guy, what a guy.
Hey.
Yeah, this would be nothing without him. Yes. Yeah, we're going to have a spiritual meeting here in just a few minutes when we're done, right? Yeah, okay. Very good. Is there anything else you want to say real quick before we sign off?
It's a pleasure coming in and talking to you people. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope Mr. Buz McKim, I calls him Buzzard Bait, and I hope he asks me back.
Oh,
and I'll be more than glad to come back because this charges my batteries.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you, guys from this era, they're few and far between, and they're really treasures. They're national treasures. So we want to keep you around as long as we can, and if we can keep you charged up, we're there.
My next birthday, I'll be 83 years old.
Oh,
I
great.
hope I'm around for a few more.
Yeah, well, we're going to work on that, okay?
Yeah, my wife's keeping me narrow and straight.
Okay. Well, we're working on a few very interesting folks for next week, and you'll see it on our post first of the week. And I cannot thank you enough for being here, and you folks that are watching out there in the great vast beyond. And we're just going to keep bringing you more and more cool stuff, and you're going to learn something whether you like it or not, okay?
Thanks for showing up, people.
Take care, folks. See you next week.
The Legends of Racing radio show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began, Racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time for the Legends of Racing radio show with Buz McKim.